What's up, everybody? Do you feel like you muscle your way through every single day and you just push yourself and shove yourself and motivate yourself with fear and try to just make it through and keep taking action? If so, you're in great company. You, me, tons of my clients, we all operate this way. It just feels so much easier to push and motivate and get yourself to do what you need to do, even though it feels detrimental. I really have this theory that we reach a point in our career and maybe our stage of life where we just can't do this anymore. And not only can we not do it, it's no longer necessary to get ourselves the success that we want. So today I want to talk about softening. And this feels very nebulous, but I'm going to speak about exactly how to do this and exactly what the benefits are. But softening really helps you get what you want with less struggle. I've used this analogy before, but I feel like it applies again. It's like removing all the friction. So many times it's almost as if we're swimming with ski gear on. We're doing our best. We're working super hard. What we're doing is not easy. It takes a lot of effort, but we have all this extra resistance that we're dragging around with us. Can you imagine trying to swim in ski boots or snowboard boots and your helmet and your gloves and your coat and your pants? It'd be exhausting, right? So softening is a way that you can slow down to speed up, and I'm going to tell you all about how to do it. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Deibert. I'm a performance coach for enterprise and strategic account executives. I help with mindset and I help with productivity. And my underlying reason for all of this is I want to help people live their best life. So many of my clients feel like they're not reaching their full potential. They see what their peers are achieving and they know that it's possible for them to do that too, but for whatever reason, it's not happening. And so I help you in all the different ways that you get in your own way. Most of my clients have the experience. They've done the work, they've built the skills, they've been to all the trainings. They know what they need to do. They just can't quite get themselves to do it. And so I help you figure out how to get out of your own way. And I find that there's two primary ways that we do this. On the one hand, we focus on your productivity. We build out systems that are specific to you and how you work best. And on the other hand, we work on your mindset. We clear all the mental garbage. We clear all the junk so that you can be aligned with what you want to achieve and make it so much easier for yourself. So one of the big ways that I see my clients getting in their own way, and myself included, by the way, is with feelings. Feelings are so fascinating because every single human has feelings and nobody was ever taught what to do with feelings. I have some other videos on this channel that talk all about what feelings are, all about what to do with them. Definitely go check those out. But what's so fascinating to me is that we are putting the wrong feelings in our tank. Maybe not wrong, that might not be the right word, but we're putting feelings in our tank that are not useful to get us where we want to go. And we're not allowing ourselves to feel the feelings that would be really useful for us. So I see a lot of clients who, like myself, believe me, I've been in this boat before, motivate themselves with fear, just push themselves, just grind, just hustle harder. It doesn't matter where they're starting and how much energy they have in the tank. They just push themselves and force themselves to get it done. And that has been really successful. Think of how far you've gotten in your career by doing this. However, that becomes a lot less useful and a lot less helpful as you move further in your career. Once you have built the skills and you have the muscle memory, you have the skills, you have the knowledge of what you need to do, the hustle and the grind is no longer useful. At this stage, it's about removing the resistance. So for a lot of us, we never learned how to feel our feelings. We never learned how to feel our emotions. We never learned how to allow any of that or process any of that. We've just been outrunning for our entire lives. My own personal story is that I learned that feelings were not helpful. They were not useful. They did not get me where I want to go. And so I essentially just cut off my head from the rest of my body. I did not want to feel any feelings, and I just stayed in my head. I just intellectualized everything. I just thought it out and learned more knowledge and gained more knowledge to push myself forward to get where I wanted to go. I know there's so many of you that resonate with this because I have literally basically an entire roster full of people who also operate this way. It's so hard to want to allow our feelings and want to feel our feelings because it feels like they're unhelpful. it feels, at least for me, which a lot of people can relate to this. For me, it feels like there's this boogeyman that's chasing me. And the boogeyman, if it catches me, it's going to grab me, it's going to tackle me, and then I'm homeless, and then I'm bankrupt, and then everybody finds out that I'm a fraud. Everybody finds out that I was making it all up this whole time, and I lose all my success. And so I have to outrun this boogeyman. I have to push myself to get towards my goals as fast as I possibly can. And I'm really just outrunning this fear. So if you're outrunning the boogeyman, feelings are not helpful because feelings slow you down. And what if you allow yourself to feel a feeling and it sucks you into a vortex and then you get stuck in that feeling forever? That was my biggest fear. Feelings don't feel useful. But let me tell you what the reality is. Feelings are not facts. First of all, you may experience a feeling and it may not be real. One of my favorite coaches, Cara Lowenthal, talked about this analogy of how thoughts can be like this drunk cockatoo in your head that's just blurting out things that it's remembered from a long time ago. And I love that analogy. And I feel like feelings can be that way as well. It might be a remnant of a past feeling. It might be an echo of something that you experienced in the past. It might just be habitual of this cycle that you get into and that your brain gets into to try to protect you in certain circumstances. Let me give you the silliest example. I woke up in the middle of the night in a panic, full anxiety mode, 2 a.m., stressed because we couldn't find my son's football shoes. The dumbest part was that we'd already replaced them. We'd already bought new shoes. And in that moment, I knew that we'd already bought new shoes, but my body was super stressed that we couldn't find his old shoes, which, by the way, we later found in his closet. But at 2 a.m., my body didn't care about that. It was just full anxiety, all in the moment. I could logically see that this emotion isn't worthwhile or important. And I don't want to diminish emotions. They're absolutely okay, but I could tell like this isn't true. This isn't the truth. This isn't super necessary at this moment. What would be really helpful is for me to be asleep right now. But I paint that to say that there are so many times where we feel these big emotions and really they're just remnants of the past. They're not actual fact. They're not actual truth. And not to diminish them at all, we can honor all of those emotions that come up, but reminding yourself that you don't have to get stuck in it. So I want to make a key distinction here. You can be with an emotion versus in an emotion. And let me tell you what that means. When you are in an emotion, you're telling yourself all the stories about this emotion. You're telling yourself about how you're going to get stuck here forever. This always happens to you. This is how your life goes. You're never going to be able to get out of it. This is just what you're doomed for forever. And you kind of get sucked into that vortex of the emotion versus being with an emotion. Being with an emotion is honoring that emotion, noticing that emotion, allowing that emotion to be there, letting yourself feel the emotion. And what happens is when you let yourself be with an emotion, but not telling yourself all these horrible stories about how you're going to get stuck there forever, the emotion doesn't last long at all. It just kind of dissipates. And then you feel much better afterwards. I'll tell you a quick story about this. I was at a home run derby with my family this past weekend. It was super fun. We had a blast. And that day I felt really hurt. I felt really rejected by some people who were close to me. They didn't even intend to reject me. They just didn't invite me. And everybody was hanging out without me. And I felt really, really bad about it. And so my family had left to go get hot dogs or something. And I'm sitting in the stadium watching this event happen. And I realized I needed to feel sad. And so I was like, let's try it out. This is something I'm not used to, but let's let ourselves feel sad. And so I sat there in the stadium watching the home run derby, enjoying myself, by the way. And I just let myself feel sad. I hoped that nobody could see me crying. It was just tears streaming down my face, no overt crying. And I just sat there and let myself feel sad. And legitimately about 90 seconds later, all the sadness was gone. And I actually felt fine. And I didn't feel upset about the event anymore. And I was able to move forward. So this is what I'm talking about when I talk about softening. It's all about taking really good care of yourself. It's all about letting your emotions be there. It's all about cracking just a tiny bit open and letting yourself be just a little bit vulnerable about what's happening. It's about being present with your emotions. It's about even detaching from your emotions and noticing that these emotions are important, even if they're not factual. It's about sitting in your body, noticing that physical sensation, allowing it to be there, telling yourself that it's okay that it's here, and letting it pass. And what's so wild about this is that as you soften, as you let yourself feel your feelings, as you let yourself process these emotions, you're going to feel so much more clear. You're going to feel so much more focused. You're going to feel so much more decisive about exactly what needs to happen. You're going to be operating from a place of taking really good care of yourself and looking out for your best interest and doing things that match that best interest, rather than a place of reacting or acting out of frustration or acting out of anger or acting out of fear. So I just want to plant this seed for you of letting yourself soften a little bit, letting yourself rest. What if the boogeyman's not going to catch you? What if the best thing you can do right now is to give yourself that space? Not push yourself constantly, 24/7, all the time. Let yourself rest. Let yourself recover. Let yourself go for a walk in the middle of the day. Did you know that you can still be, quote unquote, on the clock working and not be sitting at your desk? You can be washing dishes and thinking about your deals. You can be going out on a walk and thinking about what you want to include in your next proposal. You can be out to lunch with a colleague and thinking of ideas of how you're going to create your POV for your next big deal. I just want to give you this option that softening is the way that you can remove all that ski gear and not have all that resistance and all that extra friction. Now you can rely on the skills that you've built. You can rely on the knowledge that you've had. You can trust yourself that you always figure it out. Look at yourself. You have a 100% track record of always figuring it out. And you can start to trust yourself and rely on yourself that that's going to happen more. I hope this has been helpful. If you want more gems like this, definitely join my newsletter. You can join it at mentalmastery.com/newsletter. And if you want to get some daily inspiration from Amber, come and follow me on LinkedIn. You can find me just by searching my name, Amber Deibert. I'll see you then.